How's it going, guys? It's your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here to talk to you about this chapter of My Hero Academia, manga chapter 264, titled One's Justice. And to do a little bit of explanation, I'm recording this video now because there was some problems I was having with the translations. A little bit of it was confusing, especially towards the end of it on who is talking and like how things are supposed to be conveyed. So for the most part, I will be doing My Hero reviews on Sunday when the official translations come out. So yay for supporting the Hirikoshi, supporting him all the way with this amazing series. But with that out of the way, let's get started into this chapter where we get basically we start off with the heroes finding the liberation armies or the paranormal liberation fronts, basically like entrances to their underground lair. There's a north entrance, a west entrance, and a south entrance, I believe. And basically what the heroes are planning on doing is blocking them in. And during this exact same time, you have the Liberation Army underground in their sanctuary. They're all of the people that follow Redestro are calling out his name, Redestro, Redestro, and he's just looking upon these people. Redestro's like looking upon like all of his servants, like all of the people that are supporting the Paranormal Liberation Front. He's like, oh, what's going on, guys? You know that today is a very important day. We're having a conference in the other room. Like, what do y'all need? Like, what is causing you disturbance? And one dude in the front is like, the heroes are coming, and you just get this like look at his eyes, and like it's just like the look that you have when you're like what? And then they start explaining, it's like, yeah, and he's like, there's nowhere to go, all of the entrances are blocked, the only way that we can get out the hideout is through the south entrance, through the building, and the heroes are invading. And he just goes from, and I just love Redestro's in this scene, he goes from 0 to 100% stressed out in like seconds. She's just like, what? And during this time, we see Cementos basically complimenting Denki Kaminari due to the fact that, you know, he stopped the dude from like electrocuting all of the heroes. And we also get a big spread of like the hideout conference just being opened up. Like someone just like took the building itself and just ripped it asunder. So like I said in the previous chapter, Cementos, when he's around any type of concrete, he is OP as you don't know what. And then Kaminari dad looking dude, which I think this chapter probably confirms that is most likely not Kaminari's dad or a relative of him, due to like he's like questions like, oh, it's an electrification, so that's what his quirk is. But no matter, let's see if you can take on. And then you see Edshot, there we go, I had to look up his name. As soon as like he's about to like electrocute Kaminari, he's like, let's see how much you can take. Edshot just comes out of nowhere, says Nimpo, and does his attack, which is like, if I remember the name, it's like 1,000 like piercing shots. Basically, he calls out his hero attack, and he just pierces through the lungs of all of the like villains, where they're like, oh gosh. And he's like, yeah, I literally punctured a hole into every one of your lungs. I wouldn't move as I used you. And then all of a sudden, you have Midnight coming out of nowhere. It's like, well, you know, let me help you with that. Let me just make y'all take a little nap so that your wounds could heal, as she puts all of them to sleep. And Kamui Woods uses like the first technique that we saw in the series, Lacquer Chain Prism, successfully, and captures all the villains. So like within the span of a few seconds, all of the Paranormal Liberation Front members gets a hole in their lungs, gets knocked out by Midnight, and chained up by Kamui Woods. And unfortunately, they didn't get everyone, so they're like, oh man, the heroes are taking us out. What are we gonna do? Wait, why am I sinking into the ground? And then we see one of the heroes, one of the two students from 1B, Mudman, also known as Juzo Honenuki, using his ability, which is like basically softening the ground and causing people to like fall in. And he gets complimented by Gang Orca, and like the people are like, oh no, we're sinking into the ground. But there's one dude who has like a really real quirk where he just stretches his arms into the ground and picks himself up, and he's like, oh, you think this is gonna, I can't hear anything. Why can't I hear anything? And then we see She-Mage, who apparently used her quirk, which is just basically control and able to spawn mushrooms on any type of surface, literally covers the entire area with mushrooms to the point. And she also, as we know, one of her attacks causes like mushrooms to like appear in your throat, so people are like coughing. It's like so like the students from 1B are putting in work, literally stopped this entire crowd of basically like liberation army like members like instantly. Now we have all of like the pro heroes going in, and they're basically like, thanks kids, now we're gonna stop the big dudes, the leaders of the liberation, thanks y'all. And then we immediately cut over to Hawks, and we see kind of how the heroes get the information. Apparently, Hawks was able to use his feathers and use a specific code, which is probably like encoded like little holes, little like points in his feathers to indicate like the time, date, and location. And he's saying this in front of Bubagawara, also known as Twice. So right now, during this next few panels, Twice comes to a realization, because at first he's like confused about like what's going on, like how is this happening, and basically Hawks explains like everything. It's like, yeah, the only reason why we're very successful right now, it's mainly because like we had a whole lot of numbers, like we had numbers on our side, and you're here, and the reason why all these feathers are here is because your quirk double would be very helpful for the villains, but not for us. So I'm keeping you here. And it's like, oh yeah, and I was like, yeah, and like I seemed very convincing when I asked for your help, like help me with the liberation ideologies. Yeah, you didn't suspect a thing. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna take you in, like hero work does normally. I'm gonna take you in, and Twice during this entire time we start having Twice flashbacking to the overall arc, or the 7 precepts arc, and this is something I made in the previous chapter of how Twice is gonna blame himself for this, because technically it is, but like this isn't the first time he did it. Like the first time he led someone and put trust in someone, they killed Big Sis Magne, took one of Compress's arms, and Twice is like, this is all my fault. It's happening again. It's always me. And he just starts crying and coming to like his realization is that this is all because of him. And he's like, not again. And okay, I will say this. And hopefully I will have a few images of this, but Hawks looks very disturbing. Like he looks like a villain. And like in this panel, and then like in many other panels in this chapter, looks like a straight up villain. Like he just looks like he's gonna kill somebody, especially since he has like his two his large feathers in both of his hands. It looks like he's gonna kill someone. And Twice during this entire time is like questions like, I shouldn't have trusted you. I shouldn't have put my trust in you. I shouldn't have pitied you. I shouldn't have done this. Oh my gosh. It's like, I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have trusted or pitied you. And he's just going through this like levels of like anxiety, anger, sadness, and Hawks is like basically like telling him, it's like, and from what we understand, it's like he's like, yeah, Hawks is like, yeah, I'm gonna bring you in, but like you can always like if you like serve your crimes, like serve your sentence, like I can help you start over. Like I am willing to help you Twice because I know you're a good person. And then Twice is like, shut up. And like Hawks is like trying to help. Like he's trying to help. He's like, yo, Boo Gawire. And like and thing that you have to notice about the chapter is like he doesn't call him by like Twice. He doesn't call Boo Gawire Twice during any of this conversation. He always refers to him as his hero name, which depending on what side you are in like the instance of the villains, Twice may accept his name to be Twice, and that is all that he'll be. And chances are high enough other heroes would have called him Twice as his villain name, but Hawks is calling him by like his legal name, as like in his like view as like a shelf. Like you're not a villain, you're a person. I'm not going to refer to you by your villain name of Twice. I'm going to refer to you as your name Bubagawara. But Twice is not like having it, because he views the villains as his friends, as like what he cares about, and like he's just mad at him. And it's like it's like, no, you really think that they will allow me to live a special life? I've learned about the real world. There's nothing that you can do. And like Hawks is just trying to convince him. It's like, no, I don't want to fight you. And Twice is like, well, too bad. I don't. It's like, it's a you problem then, as he begins to multiply. And during this instance, like his mask gets ripped off. So if we know anything about Twice, once that mask is removed, that's when Sad Man's parade lets loose. And during this time, in actuality, Hawks could have attacked him before this attack goes off, because he had all of his feathers pointing at him. And he's actually the one that like ripped the mask off of his face with one of his feathers. So like at any time he could have done it, but he hesitates and he lets Sad Man's parade like form. And during this time, he Twice just announces that, yo, I will give up my soul for the League's happiness, meaning that he would basically give up his life for the League, because that's what he views as his family. That's who he views as his friends. Those are the people that he cares about. He wouldn't abandon them in the same vein as the heroes wouldn't abandon civilians and other heroes. That is sort of his moral code. And while this is going on, Hux just has this face of just like the face of like, I really wanted to help you Twice. I really want to help you, Bubagawara. I honestly did. I did not want it to come to this. And I do not think that if he does fight, I don't think that he's going to like fight back to like kill or even really harm him, just to hold him back. But that doesn't end the chapter. What ends the chapter is Dabi with the face of someone who is going to kill. His expression just says, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him. Because as we know, Dabi does have some beef with Twice and Endeavor. But there is a specific line that was very confusing for the translation, like for the scanlations, which is clarified in the official, is there's a specific lines being talked as like, it's not your fault, Twice. It's the fault of the heroes. The heroes are always at fault. And it was unclear if it was coming from Hawks or Twice, but this official shows that it is from, not Twice, but from Hawks or Dabi, and it shows that Dabi is saying this because he's going to the rescue of Twice. So even though Dabi is like a hard ass on the inside and a hard ass on the outside as well, like he's just entirely hard, scarred, and doesn't give a fuck, he's gonna go try to kill Hawks because he messed with his friend Twice, which ends the chapter and is basically the end of this part, or this chapter, as I said, of My Hero. So when it comes to this chapter, it is extremely focused on basically Twice coming to the realization that the reason why all of this is happening is because he trusted Hawks, and the fact that like it's kind of like a repeat of the Overhaul, the 7 Precepts arc, where Twice like allowed Overhaul to see the other villains, to see Shigaraki, and due to that, it got the death of Big Sis Magne as well as the loss of Compress's arm. So, and we do know that Twice holds that accountable and thinks that that's all his fault. So having something similar happen again, and that he trusted someone or felt pity for someone, and that it still came back to bite him on the butt yet again, Hawks may want to help Twice, to help Bubagawara, but that was the last straw. At this moment, Twice is probably always going to be a villain. He's going to die as a villain, and there's no way that he can change because he's had his trust broken twice. And with that in mind, we also have Hawks, who at the beginning seemed very harsh towards Twice, but from our interactions between them and knowing Hawks is a person where he like basically wears his emotions on his sleeves, when he says something, he means it. Now, he was acting to get in like good graces with the Liberation Army, but in actuality, he truly did want to help Twice. So it just the chapter just shows like the dualities of like him trying to help someone that doesn't want help and like wants to remain the person that they are, even if that is technically a villain. So there's that. And even like towards the beginning, we see Destro and how he goes stressed out and how he gets the information is like, the heroes are here, what's going on, how does this happen? And if anything, one of two things will happen with Destro that is built up in this chapter is either he's going to be mad at Twice for what he did and still respect Shigaraki, but would like argue against Shigaraki, and there may be a split in the Paranormal Liberation Front there, or Destro may like fall back on his old ways and it's like, oh, this is all Shigaraki's fault. If I hadn't have like believed in him, this wouldn't have happened. Everything that I worked for has gone to an end. So either way, I think there is going to be a divide with this, especially with like those who like thought that Destro should have been like the one in charge. And like, because as far as we know, there has been like a lot of conflict and a lot of people like going against Shigaraki this entire time. It's just building upon that, as well as we see 1B classmates. We see Mudman as well as She-Mage, how they're able to take out just an entire crowd of like these superpowered beings, which they're basically fodder, but it's good to see like they're able to take on like these large groups as well as just being students, as well as seeing basically how the pro heroes work, how they're not afraid to like do like harm, like. Edshot says like, oh yeah, if you move with these holes in your lungs, you're gonna die. But because like they know like the different quirks of like the heroes, they know like, even though I can do this, I know like it can be fixed instantly. So it's like a little bit of a risk to the heroes, but it's not permanent. So that was just a cool move, and seeing all of those like combos, seeing all of their superpowers, which is something that hopefully I'll be able to talk about on this channel a little bit more. But then we also see how Dabi's gonna go and rescue Twice. So overall, this is like a very good chapter of My Hero. I don't think like the past few chapters have been bad, but I don't think that this chapter is like probably the pinnacle of what My Hero is. But I do think that it was a very good chapter. It gets more development on Hawks' side, a little bit more development for Twice's side, Bubagawara, as well as just seeing a lot of like good like combos between the heroes, seeing possibly a buildup of Destro and the other members, the original members of the Paranormal Liberation Front, probably going against Shigaraki. And we're probably going to see within the next chapter or two a fight between Dabi and Hawks. So hopefully that's going to be a great fight. Overall, I'll give this chapter a 4 out of 5. It's a really good chapter, and hopefully you enjoyed it as well as this video. Hopefully I'll be able to keep continuing making these videos if you find them enjoyable. Like, comment, subscribe, and hopefully I'll be able to catch you guys in the next video. Goodbye for now. Woo!